So welcome, and we start with the first unit, that is Nyaya, the science of logic and reasoning. Right? So again, as I told you, we are looking at only some parts of each of these 6 systems of Indian philosophy. If we would do it in great detail, then we can sit here for 4 years and still not complete it. Okay? So what I am going to do from Nyaya is this aspect called as sources of valid knowledge or pramana. So that means whenever we want to get knowledge of anything in the world. So by the way, please remember, philosophy means what? What is the literal meaning of the word philosophy? Philosophy means love for knowledge. That's what philosophy means. Philosophy means what? Love for knowledge. So since we are talking about knowledge, the obvious question is, how do you get knowledge? How do you gather knowledge? Correct? How do you accumulate knowledge? So for that, we have something called as pramana in Nyaya philosophy. Pramana means the ways of obtaining valid knowledge. How do you get valid knowledge? This is called as pramana. So, very simple actually. Okay, I'll just ask you a quick question. How do you think people generally gather knowledge? A quick question. Yeah?
Sharing.
Sharing. Very good. That means you tell someone else. Yeah? Reading. Very good. So sharing and reading, or in today's world, if somebody has a question, how do we get knowledge? Most of the time, practically, Google. Yeah, why not? Right? We ask the question in Google, what is so and so? What is the definition of philosophy? If you type, you will get that of knowledge. Okay, so that's one way of obtaining knowledge. Whether it is books or the internet or sharing with friends, it is basically coming under the category of what I would call as verbal testimony. Verbal testimony means somebody says and you accept it. Are you understand? Isn't it a method of gaining knowledge? Somebody says and we accept it. Just like, for example, why did I buy this Panasonic? What did I do to buy this? I didn't simply look at the Panasonic website. I went on Google and tried to find out whoever purchased this Panasonic camera, what do they have to say about the camera? How good it is, how bad it is, right? You've seen that people give reviews? Yes. This is very good, iska lens acha nahi hai. They say various things about the camera. And based on that we decide whether to buy the camera or not. So that means how are we getting that knowledge? Verbal testimony. Just like if you go to court, most of the decisions in the court happen how? Testimony. Correct? Somebody says, I saw him killing this fellow. And that's considered very important. I mean, I saw Salman Khan shooting that deer. Someone says that, then it's finished. Yes or no? If someone seen someone committing a crime, so how does court accept or make their decisions? Based on verbal testimony. Proof is there, but one of the proofs is verbal testimony. Because many times after many years, nothing much will be there. Just that some 10 people saw you doing it. Correct? So, yes or no? Do everybody agree with it? Yeah? Yeah. So, verbal testimony. Another category of proof, is there any other way that you obtain knowledge? Other than verbal testimony, all of you, the examples that you gave were verbal testimony. Any other method of acquiring knowledge than verbal testimony? Yeah, but that is also verbal only, na? You are hearing somebody. Experiment. Yeah, experiment. Yeah, very good. Experimentation. That means you do it and find out. Right? So that is my first category called as perception. Perception means you directly perceive whatever is being said. That's perception. How do you know the philosophy class happens? Because you sat and you saw one fellow coming in town. Not that you just heard from a friend that there is a class of philosophy going on in VIT. You actually attended it. Right? So perception means you directly understand. Then there is another category of knowledge. Does anybody understand what do you mean by inference? Can anyone tell me inference ka matlab kya hai? What is inference? Yeah. Conclusion from observation is not necessarily inference. Like for example, you wear spectacles. It's not so much that I infer it. I can directly see and understand. It's perception. Inference means what? Can anybody tell me what is inference?
Deductions, experience.
Okay, something more pinpointed, yeah?
Deduction.
Deduction, yes, good. You are giving me a synonym for it, actually. But what does that mean? See, it's like there are some things we understand, not always. So first of all, I'll tell you one thing. Whatever I'm putting on the slides, you need not copy that down because all that is already there on the website. You can just download it. Whatever I write on the board or whatever other explanations I give, you may write if you wish. I'm not going to dictate any notes in this class. My slides are all on the website. Every lecture, after every lecture, I'll be putting it up. And all the books, soft copy also, I'll be putting it up on the website. Okay? So I don't dictate any notes at all. You could write notes if you feel so. That's up to you. So this is college education. This is not like school that we dictate and you write things. Yeah. So perception you understand. Inference means there are some things that we understand in our life where we may not see it, but we will have to control. I'll give you an example. Let us say this classroom where we are all right now, let us say I put black paper on all the windows. Right? I put black paper on all the windows. So you know. So suppose somebody is standing outside. He is hearing some sound in the class. Now he has to infer what is going on in the class. You understood? Is he seeing what is going on in the class? No, because black paper is put on. He cannot see. But some sound is there. Yeah, so he'll have to imagine. Very good. He'll have to imagine and come up with some ideas of what is going on. So what could his inference be? Just to ask you. So suppose somebody is walking out and there is black paper. What can he infer about what is going on in the class? Someone is saying something. Okay. Any other inference? There is what? Fight. Yeah, there is fight going on. Why not? There can be a fight going on in the class. Good.
Cricket match going in level.
Huh?
Cricket match going in level.
Cricket match going on in?
Watching.
Yeah, okay, yeah, they're watching cricket. That means there is nobody in the class. There is a TV going on with cricket match. Why not? That is also possible. Some sound is coming. There could be one person making a mimicry of two sounds. Correct? There could be 100 people sitting and only 2 people talking. Or maybe the noise is not coming from this room only, it's coming from the neighboring room. I don't know. My point is to understand what is inference. You have some inputs and you make some conclusions, but the conclusion that you make, you have not seen it. You don't have proof of your conclusion. You have seen something based on which you make some inference. Is that okay with everybody? Yeah. Good. So now we will start. So what we are going to do now is, so does everybody agree by and large that these are the ways of acquiring knowledge? Perception, inference, verbal testimony, and what I call as analogy. There are many things we understand by the use of analogy. Analogy means example. I mean, even in physics, sometimes we talk about wave theory. Remember that? Yes. So does it mean that literally there are waves in some atomic model or something? What it means is you are making an analogy, a comparison to understand something. Yeah? So that's called as analogy. But of course, that is similar to perception, because it's like you have seen a wave, and now when you talk of wave theory, everybody's mind, they understand what wave theory perhaps is. Like that, it's an analogy. Okay. So now we will start. So what we are going to do in today's topic is, mainly we are going to see only perception and inference, how it has to be done, and we are going to see what are the challenges. Now please remember, no matter which method you use to obtain knowledge, is there a challenge in it or no? Yes. Quickly can you tell me, is there a challenge or no?
Yes.
Yes, there is. Like verbal testimony, is there a challenge? When you hear from somebody and get knowledge, is there a challenge in it? Yes. What is the challenge? What is the challenge in verbal testimony? Simple. Huh? Someone with a raise of hand? What is the challenge when you hear from somebody and get knowledge?
We actually comprehend what they are saying.
Yeah, that is one thing. And another more important thing is,
So is that true or wrong?
yeah, it may be wrong also. See, many times you get information from some journalist in a newspaper. The journalist may say something, you are really not sure whether it actually happened that way. They are just believing the person. So there is a challenge in it. There is a challenge associated. So every method is important, but every method has challenges. So we are going to talk about the challenges of all these methods today. Okay. In fact, I will not complete it. I will talk only about perception and inference today. Testimony we will do in the next class. So we start with the first one, perception. So what is perception? So perception, this is the definition. So perception is defined as a knowledge that arises from the contact of the sense and sense object. Okay. Just hold over here, don't go ahead. Knowledge that arises from the contact of sense and sense object. So how many senses we have? Five senses, right? We have the eyes, which give us knowledge of what? Form. Right? The eyes give us the knowledge of form. Okay? Then we have the ears, which give us the knowledge of sound. Then we have the nose, which gives us the knowledge of smell. Then we have the tongue, which gives us the knowledge of taste. And finally we have the skin, which gives us knowledge of touch. So these are the five senses, and these are called as the five sense objects. That means the object of that sense. Correct? So perception or pratyaksha means knowledge that arises from contact of sense and sense object. You understood? Now there are three more adjectives used over here. First is that is determinate. Determinate means you are absolutely sure about it. I mean, it's very clear that it is it. To give an example, sometimes we are not very clear. If you look at some smoke from a faraway distance, we may not be clear whether it is dust or smoke. You understand? Dust and smoke from a distance perhaps may look similar. So in such a case, it may not be exactly, you may not be able to determine 100% whether it is smoke or dust. So perception means you should be able to determine with 100% confidence that it is smoke or it is dust. That is. Unnameable. Unnameable as in the name of that object is not important. But what is more important is the fact that you perceive it. Right? Like for example, somebody may exactly not know what this device is, let's say. But that's not important. Important is he has perceived that there is some tripod and something standing on it. But somebody who knows the name, you know, okay, this is Panasonic 777, this is recording. You may not know the name also, it doesn't matter. You have perceived it. So that's unnameable. And the third criteria which I use over here is consistent. Consistent means always that way. Just like for example, let's say you're coming from Saudi Arabia, so in a desert, you may be aware that there is something called as a mirage. A mirage means from far away it looks like water. Right? But when you come very close, what do you understand? It is not water, it is sand. So what has happened? It is not consistent. Understood? From far away you thought it to be water, but when you came close it became sand. So it's not consistently perceived. So what is perception? Contact between sense and sense object that is determinate, that is consistent, and that is unnameable. Three properties. Very good. And there are two classes of perception. Okay. There are two classes of perception. What we call as ordinary. Ordinary as in, ordinary in Sanskrit is called here as laukika. Laukika means ordinary. That means something contact with sense and sense object is called as ordinary. And then there is something called as extraordinary. So I'll just give some very quick examples for extraordinary. Okay, so just like we have what is called as classes. So we put things into classes and understand something. So like I'll give you a very quick example. We all say that man is mortal, right? All of you have heard this? Man is mortal. Now have you perceived it? That means we have perceived it in the sense. Have you perceived every man dying? Or suppose if I say, for example, all men are mortal. Have we actually perceived everyone dying? No, there are so many people living. But how do we understand all men are mortal? Because we have seen that all men in the past who were there are dead and gone. And the current men who are there, they are also men only. Men, of course, I am including women in that. So all human beings are of the same class of human. So basically, since everybody in the past died, even this guy will. So basically, this is what is called as class. That means we associate things in a class and we understand. Correct? It's not necessary that literally we have to perceive all men dying. Sorry. Just by seeing that my grandfather died, my great grandfather died, we understand that I am going to die one day. That, right? So that's called as classes. Example only for classes. Then there is something called association. Association means just like let us say everybody has some favorite food. Let us say your favorite food is biryani, and let us say you go to your home, and let us say your mother has made some fantastic biryani for you and kept it on the table. So just by looking at that biryani, you may say that the food looks delicious. Okay. Now saying that the food looks delicious, the food literally doesn't look delicious. You say that in the eyes, do you see delicacy in the eyes? But that is association. And that means that the class of biryani food you generally like when you see it. Or you say that this ice looks very cold. You may have not even touched it, but it is an association with that class. So these are all related to class. So that means sometimes without even perceiving, we come to some conclusions. Okay, I think I will leave it at here and we will come back to this a little later. But what we are going to do today mainly is look at the challenges in perception. So I want to throw open this question to all of you. Certainly we all accept that we all obtain knowledge in the world by perception. Okay? Can any of you tell me what are the potential challenges when we obtain knowledge in the world via perception? What are the challenges in this method? Can anybody tell? Yes, very good. Go ahead.
The knowledge that we get from our perception is something that is unique, means that is what we perceive it to be.
Very good.
We don't know whether it's real or not. It is our perception that.
Very good, very good. See, that means he's talking about relativity of perception. I perceive something, just like, I mean, we give a scientific example. Just like if you see atom. So many scientists were there, Rutherford, Bohr, Einstein, Dalton. Many of their atomic models, if you carefully observe, they even contradict each other, right? Like one of them says the atom can be split, one says the atom cannot be split. Right? The point really here is, different people perceive differently. And the fellow who's alive right now, he will strongly say defend what he is perceiving. The fellow who is dead and gone, we don't know what was his perception, why he perceived it that way. Make sense what he's saying? Very good point. Yeah, what's your name?
Varun.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I think that reminds me of another important thing. I have to take attendance here. So I'm just circulating the sheet. All you have to do is your roll numbers have not been come, right? You know your roll numbers? No. So just write your name, that's all. When our roll numbers come next week, I'll start calling roll call. I think everybody has not got roll numbers. Am I right? All of you have roll numbers?
Yes.
How many of you don't have roll numbers? So only you don't have roll number. Everybody else has a roll number. Oh, good. Then I'll take a roll call. At the end of the lecture, okay. I thought I had to circulate a sheet for you. Okay, so that part is very good, right? Everybody agrees? Relativity of perception. That's what he's talking about. Any other challenge in perception? In human perception. We are talking about human perception. When humans perceive, what are the challenges that you foresee? Okay, great. We'll start off. I think. So please note that in this course, I really want all of you to participate a lot. This course is coming under what is called as humanities, and the whole purpose of this course is to make you think. See, philosopher means thinker. Someone who thinks. So I really want all of you to think very critically about whatever I am talking. I don't even mind if you challenge the theories that I talk of here, but I want you to open yourselves and really think very deeply about the material that we are discussing here. Yeah, that is how you will actually enjoy the subject. I would rather say in one line the purpose of this course is because philosophy means love for knowledge. And you love something when you enjoy it. So I really want all of you to enjoy this course and have a good time as well. Great. So let's start. We are actually now starting with the problems of perception. So there are 4 problems. So what are the challenges in human perception? This is what we are looking at. Challenges in human perception. So I will use an acronym IICC. which will help you remember the challenges. There are 4 challenges I'm speaking of, and that pretty much covers everything, including what Varun pointed out. So the first challenge I start off with is is seeing believing, or what are the challenges of perception. So the first challenge is imperfection in senses. So I'll just go ahead quickly. Yeah. Imperfect senses. The senses which we are using in our perception, are they perfect? Are they complete? For example, when I look at the wall, actually do I see everything that can be seen? No, we don't. All of us know this. Why? Because our eyes are blind outside the range of 400 to 700 millimicron. That's all that we can see. That's all that we can see. Even if I use an instrument, I can extend that vision a little bit. But can I see everything? Just like all of you may be knowing that in the solar system today, they talk about something called as dark matter. You heard about that? Yes. So dark matter, what is this dark matter? Basically, scientists today know the weight of the solar system by certain techniques. They know the weight of the solar system. And they also know the weight of the known bodies in the solar system. Like there is Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, all the known bodies of the solar system. The weight of the known bodies of the solar system contribute only 10% of the weight of the solar system. Which basically means what? 90% of the solar system is missing mass. Dark matter. Missing mass. So what's happening? Are we able to perceive it? No, we cannot. Something is there. We just don't know. We have given a fancy name to it. Make sense? Right? So, imperfection in our senses. And solar system is the immediate body we are living. I'm not talking about the Milky Way galaxy and the universe and all. I'm talking about the solar system, which is where we are all situated. We hardly know about it. Right? Make sense? Good. So similarly, our ears also. They can hear a particular range.